Have you ever noticed the silent cost of keeping certain people close? Not the obvious cost, not the blow-ups everyone can see. I mean the invisible one, the daily fee you pay in small installments. You swallow a sentence. You laugh at something that hurts. You say it's fine when it isn't. And you make a private agreement. No signature, no announcement. Yet your soul understands it perfectly. I'm going to shrink, so this can keep existing. And sometimes it isn't even love. It's fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being seen as selfish. Fear of losing the bond. And with it, losing the feeling that you belong somewhere in the world. This is where the dilemma begins. The one nobody says out loud, but so many people live inside. If I'm truthful, I lose the bond. If I stay quiet, I lose myself. Maybe you're in a relationship right now. Romantic, family, friendship, workplace, where there's a strange kind of peace. A peace that isn't calm, it's silence. A peace built on concessions you don't even remember agreeing to. And the most telling part is this. When you consider leaving or setting a boundary, relief doesn't come first. Guilt does. A heavy, almost childlike guilt, as if protecting your own truth were a betrayal. And that's why this video isn't really about toxic people, because labeling someone toxic might give your pain a name, but it doesn't return you to yourself. What I want to show you is something deeper. Many draining bonds aren't sustained only by the other person's behavior. They're sustained by our inner agreement. A silent contract you may have made with a part of you that you learned to reject. A contract you didn't write with your mind. You wrote it with your shadow. And when you finally see that, something changes. Not because you suddenly get strong, but because you understand. Why? You stayed quiet. And once the reason becomes conscious, guilt starts losing its power. Stay with me to the end. I'm not here to push you into impulsive cutoffs or empty self-love slogans. I want to guide you into a more mature awareness, a place where you don't have to demonize anyone, and you don't have to sacrifice yourself to be loved. You only have to take your shadow out of the deal. There's a scene that repeats in so many lives. Different cast, same script. You're in a conversation and you feel something in your body. A tightening in your chest, a tension in your throat, a clear perception. This isn't okay, but you don't say it. You choose to keep the peace. You tell yourself, it's not worth it. They won't understand. If I bring this up, it'll turn into hell. Let it go. But it isn't really letting it go. It's pushing it in, and that starts to accumulate, not as open rage, but as a thin fog of resentment that follows you around. You don't explode, you endure, and you endure so much that at some point you don't even notice what you want anymore. You only know what they need, what they feel, what they expect, what they'll do if you say no. Then comes another scene. They do something that hurts you again. A sharp comment, a subtle manipulation, disrespect disguised as a joke, chronic absence. And instead of naming the impact, you start explaining it away. They had a hard childhood. They're going through a phase. That's just how they are. If I'm patient, it'll get better. I get it. It's not personal. Without realizing it, you step into a role, the emotional rescuer. You become the translator of their pain, the shock absorber for their storms, the container where they dump what they refuse to feel alone. And when someone outside asks, "Why do you put up with this?" you answer with almost sacred loyalty, "Because I love them, because I don't want to abandon them, because I know they have a good heart." But beneath that beautiful story, there's a question that's harder to face. When did you become a place where someone feels better at your expense? Now comes the third scene, the most revealing one. You decide to set a boundary, maybe something small. "Don't speak to me like that." Maybe bigger. "I won't be available in this way anymore." Maybe final. "I need distance." And what happens? You don't feel free. You feel guilty. A guilt that doesn't match the logic. You think, "I'm just asking for respect." But your body reacts like you've committed a crime. That guilt is a doorway. It shows that the bond isn't held together only by affection. It's held together by a belonging complex. A belonging complex is like an old inner law. To be accepted, I have to be good. To not be rejected, I have to please. To have value, I have to be needed. And that's where the "not good" persona Myers is born. The mask of, I'm the mature one, I'm the understanding one, I'm the one who can handle it, I'm the fixer. Admirable on the outside, but often built so you never have to feel the panic of not belonging again. But there's a price. To maintain that persona, You have to push into the shadow everything that doesn't fit. Your anger becomes ugly. Your needs become too much. Your boundaries become selfish. Your exhaustion becomes weakness. Your truth becomes drama. And when those parts are exiled, they don't disappear. They go looking for a place to exist. That's how toxic relationships sometimes form. Not because you're weak or because the other person is a monster, but because a rejected part of you is trying to buy belonging from the outside. And once belonging becomes a purchase, any relationship can become a debt. Now I want to offer you an idea that changes how you see everything. Let's call it the shadow contract. A shadow contract is an invisible agreement between you and the bond. An agreement where you hand over something essential, your truth, your boundaries, your spontaneity, in exchange for an emotional currency, belonging, safety, worth, love, recognition, the feeling of being necessary, and notice, it's not signed consciously. It's signed by the part of you that believes, without this, I won't be loved. These contracts usually begin early. It doesn't have to be a major trauma. Sometimes it's simply an environment where love felt conditional. When you were good, you received warmth. When you disagreed, you got coldness. When you had opinions, you were punished emotionally. When you had needs, you were criticized. A child learns fast. I survive by being easy. I survive by being useful. I survive by not disturbing anyone. And that child grows inside the adult. So when the adult meets someone who recreates that dynamic, something inside recognizes it. Oh, I know this. This is where projection enters. Projection is when you place onto someone else what belongs to your inner world, and it commonly happens in two ways here. 1, you project onto them the image of the person who will finally give you the love you missed, if you're good enough. 2, you project onto them your own rejected shadow, anger, power, selfishness, hardness. Then you try to save them from it, as if you were saving yourself. That's why you endure so much, because it isn't just them in the room. It's an entire history trying to resolve itself. You're not only in a difficult relationship, you're trying to heal the past using the body of the present, and without realizing it, you make the deal. I won't be truthful, so you won't leave. I'll swallow it, so I don't lose the bond. I'll carry both of us, so I stay indispensable. I'll keep the peace, even if that peace costs me. The problem is, every contract has clauses, and this one has a brutal clause. The more you abandon yourself, the more you teach the other person to meet you in your emptiness, and the emptier you become, the more you need them to feel like someone. See the loop? This is where individuation comes in. Individuation isn't being alone. It isn't becoming cold. It isn't cutting everyone off. Individuation is learning to belong to yourself. It's the shift from living as a character inside your good persona to integrating what you rejected. And integration doesn't mean acting out your anger. It means recognizing anger as a legitimate signal. It doesn't mean becoming selfish. It means recognizing needs as human. It doesn't mean abandoning the other. It means stopping the abandonment of yourself. Breaking a shadow contract isn't necessarily destroying the bond. It's removing your soul from the place where it's been used as currency. So how does it begin? With a simple and enormous inner movement. You stop negotiating your truth. You can still love. You can still respect. You can still have compassion. But you no longer participate in the agreement that says, I have to suffer to deserve being here. Because the emotional rescuer only exists where someone must be rescued. And often, the compulsion to rescue is the most sophisticated way to keep belonging without being truthful. When you step out of that dynamic, something happens. The relationship changes, or it reveals what it has always been. That revelation hurts, yes, but it also returns something you can't purchase with any bond: sovereignty. If this touched something real in you, comment one word below. Just one. Imagine living without needing to shrink in order to be loved. Not as a perfect ideal, as an inner state that's actually possible. You're in a conversation, and when something stings, you don't swallow it like poison. You breathe, and you recognize, this matters. You don't need to attack. You don't need to lecture. But you also don't betray yourself. You realize real peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of authenticity. You start noticing the exact moment your good persona tries to take the wheel. Let me fix it. Let me explain them. Let me adapt one more time. And for the first time, you see it as an automatic pattern, not your identity. You feel compassion for yourself because you finally understand. You didn't do this because you were weak. You did it because you believed it was the only way to stay connected. And once you understand that, guilt starts to change shape. Before, guilt was a leash. Now guilt becomes a signal. I'm trying to return to my truth. My old system is resisting. You learn to tolerate that discomfort without backtracking, not out of pride, out of maturity. And slowly, the relationships around you begin to reorganize. Some people come closer in a new way because there's finally a real you present. Others resist because they were accustomed to relating to your absence. And here's the subtle point. You don't have to hate anyone to choose yourself. You can recognize someone has pain and still refuse to be the place where that pain gets dumped. You can recognize someone has limits and still refuse to live without your own. You can recognize someone doesn't know how to love well and still refuse to become their training ground. A life with clarity, relief, and inner sovereignty begins when you stop calling self-abandonment love. And when you belong to yourself, something deeply human happens. You stop begging for belonging in someone else's eyes because you already live inside you. That's a kind of peace no one can take from you. If you felt that this shadow contract describes something repeating in your life and you want to go deeper, especially to recognize the good persona, understand the belonging complex, and remove your shadow from silent agreements, I left an ebook as a natural continuation of this process. The point isn't to give you scripted lines or promise quick transformation. It's to offer a deeper inner structure so you can see patterns clearly, reorganize your inner world, and hold boundaries without guilt. Because the real rupture isn't necessarily with people. It's with the old habit of abandoning yourself so you won't feel alone. And I want to close with a sentence that may be the center of it all. Individuation is learning to belong to yourself before you belong to others. When you belong to yourself, you don't become hard. You become whole. And from wholeness, you can finally love without disappearing.